Okay. Hi everyone, it's Harry Mansfield here from the Awareness Key, where we teach you how to power up your mind before it powers you down, because I'm a mental strength coach. So for those of you that don't know me, I am completely passionate, and people get completely sick of the fact that I rant and rave about the fact we can prevent mental health problems. But it's actually not just to do with mental health, it's a way of life. And this is where myself and my guest just have so much in common, because we talk about what we do as part of a package. It's not just us that actually is going to be able to sort out all your problems. You obviously have to put in the work for yourself, but actually there are loads of different other ways of evolving and getting ourselves to be mentally strong, so that we can have better clarity and focus and better productivity, and the list goes on. You've heard me say it a million times before. So I will now hand over to Michelle. She is somebody who I've met through lockdown. So thank you for lockdown, because we wouldn't have met otherwise, which is perfect. So over to you, Michelle, and tell us about your work.
Oh, well, thank you, Harry. It's a pleasure to be chatting to you. We've grown quite fond of each other over the last year, haven't we? We have quite a lot in common, like you said. So I'm the owner and founder of Organics CBD, and I started my company about 2 years ago. My main year has been through the pandemic, which has been great. But I set up CBD because I discovered it about 5 years ago because of my own mental health journey. And I've struggled with mental health for 15 years, which was from my son being born. So work as that as you will. And I've learned loads of skills that we talked about. You know, I've had CBT, I've had counselling, psychotherapy, I've learned mindfulness, meditation, and I changed so many things in my life to help my mental health strength. And I've created lots of skills that work for me, because it's quite an individual process, isn't it, Harry? It's really individual.
Definitely.
And I always felt something was missing. And I discovered this CBD. It fell onto my desk. And being the sports and science geek that I am, I research everything. Because I run at quite a reasonable level, I have to be careful what I put in my body. So I did my research, thought, cannabis, this is a bit new age, but realised it was legal and it wasn't going to get me high, and started taking it. And for me, it was the missing piece of the puzzle because of how my body functions. And I was like, my God, this is incredible. So it wasn't a standalone, it was as well as all those other things that I'm doing. But what I then started to do as I clawed my way through and researched, I realised that not all CBD is equal, and there were some really bad products out there and even more bad information, and lots of companies selling it like snake oil. I think we discussed before, like 3 drops of this and it'll fix the world. Yeah, no, it doesn't work like that.
I think it just fixes the world, is there really? No, I hope people realise that.
And there's so many companies, not just in the CBD world, that, you know, promise the earth. And you're like, hang on a minute, that's not ethical. And I got really cross with it. And my husband, who is, I will paraphrase what he said, because there may be children watching, but he basically suggested that either I shut up or do something about it. So I thought, right, I'll put my money where my mouth is, and created my own brand, sunk in all of our savings, and created Leaf Organics to hopefully provide great education, some of the best products I feel that I've researched and put there, but with the ethics of not selling snake oil and over-promising and making all these false claims. So that's kind of what I did. Do you want me to talk about how it works with your body?
Yeah,
and how it complements?
I think that's a really key thing, because I think with any product or service, the key thing for people to have is the knowledge, isn't it? The fact that how it actually works and how it's going to help you. So that was fantastic.
So what we all have, every human, every mammal, including your cats and dogs and horses, because we love our animals down at Harry's place. So every mammal has an endocannabinoid system, and it's a system that runs through our body that is a neural processing system, and it combines 3 different elements. Get my teeth in. So we have your cannabinoids that you naturally produce, and they're produced through loads of different things, through your body producing them. Things like exercise stimulate it, and cold water. So maybe not the cold water, but I definitely do the exercise. We have receptors littered through our body that respond to these cannabinoids through the signals that are sent. And then we have enzymes that then do the end process of the job. And this system sends out the correct information to your body, most in brief function in our body, from producing hormones, the right glands working, inflammation indicators, mood, stress, you name it. It's kind of involved in this signal processing. But as we age, that system, as we know, goes a little bit wrong. And then the signal doesn't go through correctly. It's just an age thing. I hate to say it, but as we age, things go a bit wrong and we start to get these weird and wonderful ailments. We all know autoimmune conditions are rife at the moment. Our hormones don't balance properly, and we seem to be fighting our bodies all the time. Your stress factors have a major influence on it, and our environmental factors. So with our current lifestyles that we're leading, we're all probably on a hiding to nothing. And who has the most perfect diet and sleep plan, and even our soil's so depleted, we're never going to get everything we need from our food source. So we should look to supplements, not just CBD, other things, to make sure that our bodies are thriving. So CBD is a phytocannabinoid, which means it replicates our own cannabinoids and in a plant product. So when you add it, they're not sure whether it makes you produce more cannabinoids, it makes your receptors more receptive, but we do know it also helps with the enzymes, and it blocks, it's kind of like a blocker, so it stops gobbling up certain enzymes in your body. So when you have this abundance of cannabinoids and the receptors doing what they're supposed to do, the signalling starts going through properly. So when your body says, ow, you should be in pain, you're in pain. Now switch it off, it switches off. You need some inflammation, but now you need to switch off. You need some hormones, but now you need to switch off. It's almost like the conductor of a band. Yeah. But as we know, most of us are stuck on. So what it does, it starts to cool the body down. I describe it like your dad going around the house switching the lights off. Come on, turn it down. You only need one on. Yeah. So it starts to cool your body down. It allows your body to then function correctly and produce the right signals at the right time. So your body is not fighting against itself, so it starts to thrive. And that is your science lesson done straight away.
Well, I love it. And the reason why, as you say, there's so many different makes and everything out on the market. But what I loved and why I latched onto you and your product that you've made is because you've done the research and you've got so much knowledge within it, because it is so important to be able to back up what you say. Yeah. I mean, it's all well and good to say that I'm a mental strength coach and I can, give you strong mental health, but you've got to be able to back it up, and you've got to be able to say that whether it's in the world of business or whether it's in schools and colleges or whether it's with families, you have to be able to actually back it up. And that's why I loved your particular product, because you have got literally all the data.
And do you know what? I still don't know it all. It's so complex, and the more information that's coming out, the more science that is coming out, it's all very positive. But what happens, you go down a bit of a rabbit warren, you'll have a customer that comes on. So I started researching it for anxiety reasons because it was personal. And then somebody will say, does it help with migraine? Oh, just a minute. And then I go and research it. And then somebody will ask me about something else. But the reason it works with so many different ailments is not because it's snake oil, but because you have these receptors all through your body. They've even found that now one of the receptors that's responsible for serotonin, that CBD interacts with that in a positive light. Now, the one thing that I completely bang on about, and the problem that I have is CBD is fantastic. There is lots of different quality products out there. I do like to say that mine is a decent quality product, but yeah. It's almost been touted as this snake oil that, oh, this will fix the world. It's not. If you've got really bad choices with your food and not getting rest and drinking too much alcohol and in a stressful environment, with all the will in the world, 2 drops of CBD is not going to cut it, is it? Yes. We need to put all these other things in place. And that's why I love working with people like yourself and all other different types of therapists and wellbeing specialists, because we all complement each other. So that's kind of what I'm trying to suggest to everybody to it's part of that wellbeing journey.
It is, and it's a case of getting everyone to actually step up and put other things in place. I mean, I always think of the awareness key like going to the gym for physical fitness, and I know you love your sport and everything, but you're not actually going to be successful at your sport, especially at the level that you compete at, unless you put in the work. Yeah. And it's exactly the same that with my mental strength, I can get your mind strong, but you have to learn the skills and get them into place. One thing that I always say with regards to sport and relating that to mental strength is that if you are actually a tennis player and you're learning how to serve for the first time, in order for that serve to become subconscious, and for it to be going well, and you don't even need to think about it, you need to do it 100,000 times. If for whatever reason it actually goes wrong, you've then got to correct it and practice a further 2,000 times And then once it's right and you have corrected it, it's a further 100,000 times that you have to then to make it, you know, subconscious when it's actually a successful serve. But that's like anything in life. So anything that you do for your training to get it physically strong, it's repetition.
Practice makes perfect.
Yeah, exactly. And people sort of, as you quite rightly say, can't just take a drop of this or a drop of that or one pill of this and one pill of that. It's got to be a whole package, and they've got to be putting the effort in. Because also, if they buy your product and they only take it for a couple of days, it's not going to be doing a lot of good.
And that's another thing that we lead on to. You know, we do start everybody on a deemed as a daily dose, but that is relative to your metabolic rate, your weight, your condition, and how you respond to CBD, how your neural processing responds to it. I always say you need to start this for 6 to 8 weeks, because I had a client, perfect example, she did 3 weeks and she just wasn't quite there. She said, do you know what, I've invested this much, I'm going to do another 3 weeks, and on the 4th week it switched. Because her body was sending the signals out, and then all of a sudden it has a cumulative effect. It went, aha. So for something like anandamide seems to have an instant effect. So for anxiety and sort of sleep, it seems to work within 2 or 3 days, because it does help your body produce this anandamide. But for pain and inflammation, which is a signal processing to tell it to switch off, can take up to 6 to 8 weeks. Even normal medication that you get from your doctor, they always say, please give it 12 weeks. They tell you to do this. Let it settle in your system. You know, and then while you're doing that, you'll be thinking of how much exercise I've had. You'll be looking at your sleep. You'll be looking at your hydration. You'll be looking at all of these other things. Am I putting all those things in place? Now, don't get me wrong. There are times at the weekend when I do like a pint of wine. But again, 2 drops of CBD.
Oh my God.
A pint of wine. It's not going to fix. It helps. It absolutely helps. And the signs there to show that it helps. But if I've drank a gallon and been an idiot, 2 drops of CBD are not going to cut it. I need my own body to detox itself. So, you know, there are certain things that we can do. But the one thing that I found that's really good is that when somebody is struggling, it does seem to be a bit of a missing piece of the puzzle. So interesting, you talked about fitness as well. So when we exercise, everybody used to think that we produce these endorphins. That's why you feel good after running. What they've now proved, it's not the endorphins that make you feel great, because endorphins don't pass the blood-brain barrier. Can't say that very well. However, when you exercise, your body produces cannabinoids, which is what we're talking about with CBD, and that does pass the blood-brain barrier. So that is why when you've exercised, you feel good, because your body's producing its own version of this. This is just the plant version. And for some reason, cold water does that as well. So everybody's heard of the Wim Hof method.
Yes.
I'm not a fan of cold water, so I'm not going to do that one. Echinacea. Everybody, if you've got a bruise, rub echinacea on. It's a cannabinoid. Dark chocolate, cacao. So again, when people eat dark chocolate, they say, oh, don't you feel lovely and warm and gorgeous and all the rest of it? And they think it's that produces these feel-good hormones. It's not. When you eat dark chocolate, it breaks down, or it stops your FAAH, which is an enzyme that breaks down anandamide. So what it does, in effect, you get this, oh yeah, I'm having a treat, and it produces cannabinoids that makes you feel good, these anandamides. But by having the dark chocolate, it keeps them in your system longer. And that's why you feel great after chocolate. So Mother Nature has given us all of these things, just not in the quantities of CBD. So yeah, there's me talking about cannabis, but again, it won't get you high, it won't get you stoned, and it's totally legal. The bit of cannabis that people are frightened about is called tetrahydrocannabidiol, which is THC.
Yeah.
Now, in microscopic doses, it has amazing healing properties. But what we don't want to do, we just don't want to get stoned. You won't drink a glass of wine and then go to work. Same with this. But in microscopic doses, one won't show up in a random sort of blood test, but the healing properties of it are immense. But what we want is all the other cannabinoids that within that CBD plant, so the cannabis plant. So don't be afraid. I mean, I always say, people don't want to talk about it, but let's not literally beat around the cannabis bush. You know, it is from cannabis, but not as we know it. So do you want me to explain about the THC, because I know a lot of people ask about...
I think that's a key question, actually, because people know that as to what's legal, and actually on the media coverage they're always talking about cannabis plants being grown and all that kind of things.
Completely been demonized. So Cannabis, there's loads of different species, and I describe it like roses. You can buy loads of different ones that have different colours and different heights and all the rest of it. Cannabis is exactly the same. So when it's grown, if it's above a certain level of THC at cultivations, that means when it's grown and they take one of the leaves off, when they test it, if it's higher than 0.2% THC, it's deemed as marijuana and is illegal, and the crop will be burned. That's how strict they are. In the US, it's a little bit higher. I think it's 0.3%. But that's why I get mine from the US, because the actual abundancy of cannabinoids is much better. But that's the science bit. So 0.2 in the UK. If it's below 0.2, it's then made and deemed as industrial hemp, and that can be made into CBD. Hemp, we've all heard of hemp seeds.
Yeah.
Now, hemp seeds are completely different to CBD, which I'll go into in a second. We've heard of hemp powder clothing. Hemp
Used in so many products as well, isn't it? Hand cream and everything. Yeah,
it's really, really good for the environment. So that is what's made into CBD, and it's the flower. We're not allowed to use the flower, but all the leaves and the stalk is then processed into this beautiful raw CBD. So already before it's even hit the bottle, it has to be lower than 0.2%. Then to be made into one of these has to be less than one milligram per container. Now, to put that into perspective, to get high, you need about 20 milligrams of THC. There's one in that, and that you will take over a month. So in real terms, it's like pouring a glass of wine and then taking a thimbleful out and then dipping your finger in and licking it once a day and saying, I'm drunk. However, it's probably not a very good analogy, because alcohol's not great for us, it's a poison, but CBD, THC, is very, very good for you. In an average joint that you see the dodgy dudes or dudettes down the road is about somewhere between 80 to 150 milligrams. So if you put that all into perspective, a joint is like knocking back a bottle of vodka. The legal limit to get high is probably a couple of glasses of wine, and that's like dipping your finger in a glass of wine. But even at that microscopic dose, has amazing healing properties. We scooted round hemp. Now, this is kind of a bit of a thing to explain to people. A lot of people, hi Adam, lovely to see you, thank you for that. So hemp is completely different to CBD. There are lots of big CBD or big cosmetics companies touting hemp products, CBD products. Now, on any CBD product, it has to have the milligrams on, or it doesn't contain CBD. When you look, there's two very big brands at the moment doing the round selling CBD products. When you look at them, they do not contain CBD. When you read on the ingredients, it actually says hemp, cannabis, I think it's even CBD seed oil. It's a seed, they've crushed it, and it's a lovely oil that comes out. In fact, that's got hemp seed oil in it. It's beautiful. It needs the oil to get in your system. But it has no CBD in it. So actually, you're paying for very clever marketing. So be really careful when you're buying a product. Somebody said, oh, I'm taking 1,000 milligrams of hemp oil. I said, that's brilliant. You're taking hemp oil. What did you spend on it? £40. I said, you can buy like a gallon of that for £40. So very clever marketing. So please, please, please make sure it says CBD and then it tells you how many milligrams. So yeah, that's one thing. You're not allowed to take PayPal, and I'm not allowed to do any form of strange advertising. So just be careful. Do not buy it off Amazon. You are buying expensive hemp oil.
Thank you for that. I think it's really, really important that people know that, because there are so many different products out there. And that's how I ended up getting talking to you in the beginning, because you have so much knowledge, and it's so important when you're actually selling products like this. So if somebody wants to buy something for you or to chat to you, where do they get in touch?
So I have a website, which is leaforganics.uk. So that's my website. They can book on a free consultation. So come in and have a chat with me. I do have all my social media links. So I'm on every platform, which drives me insane. I'm on Pinterest. So just look for Leaf Organics and you'll be able to find me. There's usually me running or a picture of one of my fantastic products.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for that. And I really appreciate actually you getting the message across that it's part of a package.
It's not instead of, it's as well as. Please remember that it is as well as. And I'm a bit of a monkey. If you come on telling me you need for sleep, I will be asking you about your sleep hygiene program before we even discuss CBD.
Yeah, and the most important thing is that if you treat these things as part of a package, whichever walk of life you're wanting to improve in, whether it's your business, whether it's schools, and colleges or family life, if you treat these things as part of a package and doing lots of things to work towards it, then actually you can really, really help yourself. So thank you so much, Michelle, for today. That's really, really so nice to hear the knowledge behind it, to be honest. As I say, there are so many products out there on the market which aren't quite so ethical. So thank you for explaining it. And for anyone that actually wants to get in touch with Michelle, you can message her as well through the actual platforms that we're going out with today on this interview. So have a great rest of the day, and I'm sure you and I will catch up again soon, but I hope everyone else also has a great rest of the day.